then we got to go back. We got to go back to even further the mentors of these people. Because Diddy was taught how to do what he does systematically, and Clive Davis has been his greatest teacher.
Look, Clive Davis is not here to respond to that. Jaguar,
guess they're on vacation.
If this goes to court, Jaguar, do you think that the world is going to be shocked by what comes out?
Oh, absolutely. I just don't know why they are. It's been happening in front of everyone's faces for decades. For decades.
How many victims?
What's the difference between me and Judy Garland? Social media.
How many victims?
There was none for her.
How many victims potentially do you think there could be?
Thousands. Thousands. I've talked to hundreds that I deal with still myself. I think people should really look into that more.
Hi guys, welcome back. So I reacted to the Piers Morgan Uncensored interview with Jaguar Wright, and I believe DJ Vlad was on there, a lawyer was also on the show, who said some very interesting things. So I reacted to the video and I was excited to, upload it. I was editing it, but I noticed while I was reacting to it that they seemed to be some jump cuts, that things were cut out of the video. And that's not something I usually see when I watch Piers Morgan Uncensored. I've reacted to quite a few of his videos, and they usually just let the guest speak and then they go to another segment. That's the only time I see cuts. But while Jaguar was speaking, there were some like blatant cuts that were kind of like, whoa, So I'm like, oh, what did they cut out? Because I reacted to it quite late, unfortunately. I remember that when the video was first released, people were saying that she mentioned Jay-Z and Beyonce. And I didn't even click until this morning, while I was still editing, a story broke saying that Piers Morgan has apologized to Jay-Z and Beyonce. And apparently he received a cease and desist because she mentioned Jay-Z by name. I believe she mentioned Beyonce too. And this was around the time she was talking about rituals and, all sorts of horrific things that she claims goes on within the music industry. She says everybody knows who these people are. Everybody knows who's involved.
I've seen what they do. The ritualistic behaviors, the drugging, putting girls in the suitcases, dumping them in alleyways. It's horrifying. And it's all done under the protection of, this is going to be paid off. There's another NDA. It's terrible.
It seems to have been something that a lot of people knew about, but people were simply too scared to talk about.
Everyone knows. And every person that's sitting there trying to act surprised knows very well.
Like it's like the worst kept secret within the industry. It's been going on for decades. She certainly mentioned Clive Davis. Woo! She mentioned him by name too. They didn't cut that part out. Clive Davis has responded saying that, well, not to Jaguar Wright, but to Suge Knight, to News Nation. He said that, this is full of lies. Suge Knight's some convict in prison, he has no credibility and it's all nonsense. Something to that effect. So Clive Davis, his team released a statement, but there was no cease or desist. Suge was allowed to say what he said, and that was aired, and that was it. But when it comes to Piers Morgan Uncensored, when it comes to Jaguar Wright, yeah, Piers was censored for the first time in quite a while. So yeah, apparently he's apologized for the segment. And the lawyer, she did say, to be fair, during the same segment, that Jaguar has made some defamatory statements and she needs to go and cover her bases, basically, to make sure that she doesn't leave herself open to litigation.
And I kind of want to address the prior two panelists. First with Mrs. Jaguar Wright. She said a lot of things that were very jarring in her explanation of what she saw and had firsthand accounts on. My concern for her, she's saying a lot of things that could be considered libelous.
Right.
And I would suggest that she contacts an attorney, if only to vet the information she has or purports to have from other victims. At least they can protect her, and then they can also do their due diligence, the attorneys, to make sure that the information she's receiving is accurate outside of the things that she knows and may have proof of. I was very concerned about some of the things that she had said in her prior segment.
One thing I do find odd is that she hasn't been sued, to my knowledge, this whole time. Why hasn't she been sued? And to be fair, although some people, don't take her seriously, or they take what she says with a pinch of salt, while other people believe everything she's said, they really believe that she has some true insight. One thing that people can agree on, whether you believe her or not, is that she hasn't been sued. And why? People question that. Piers Morgan gets sent cease and desists and has come out and apologized. But Jaguar Wright, ain't nobody suing her. Why? Although, it could be because Piers Morgan has a huge platform, considered to have a lot of credibility. Certainly don't agree with him on everything, but he has a huge platform. He's been in the industry for years. So him platforming somebody like Jaguar Wright, I think people want to send a clear message. Don't invite her back. Stop this now before it goes too far. And apparently he's acquiescing to their requests. Piers Morgan apologizes for airing false allegations about Jay-Z and Beyonce. What? Sorry, the headline alone. Why not just say Piers Morgan issues an apology and let people make up their own mind? They're telling us that these allegations are false. Okay, so Piers Morgan has issued an apology, an on-air apology to Jay-Z and Beyonce for broadcasting false. No, look, obviously there is no proof of what Jaguar said. Beyonce and Jay-Z have not been brought up on any charges, nothing like that. There's never been anything like that. Without proof, it can be problematic to say certain things.
The thing about platforms, the reality of the modern world is that pretty much everyone has a platform as long as they have something to say that other people want to hear. That's why we invited her on to be interviewed. The people making these claims have an audience with or without shows like mine. Well, Jaguar Wright unexpectedly made several serious allegations about Jay-Z and Beyonce during that interview. As I said in the moment, they were not present to respond or defend themselves, but now they have. Their lawyers contacted us to say that those claims were totally false and have no basis in fact, and we've therefore complied with the legal request to cut them from the original interview. Editing interviews is not something we do lightly at a show called Uncensored. But, like the proverbial cries of fire in a crowded theatre, there are legal limits on us too. And we apologise to Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Piers was censored and so was Jaguar. So there you have it. The lawyers contacted the show, and not only did they edit it out, he apologized live on air. Wow. I've never seen that on this show before. Like I've said, I've reacted to quite a few of Piers's interviews. He's done some interesting interviews, and I've never seen that before. She mentioned Jay-Z and Beyonce when she was talking about the industry, the dark side of the industry, and she basically put them in the same light as Diddy, in my opinion. Hearing her speak about these things on other platforms, she does put them in the same light as Diddy. So I can understand that they have contacted the show and said, look, this is defamatory and you need to do something about this. You need to address this. And obviously she hasn't provided any proof. So obviously they have a right to say that you can't be saying this about us. You cannot be implicating us with Diddy when we haven't been arrested. We haven't been charged with anything or even accused of anything in a legal sense. Obviously, there's rumors that have been going around for a very long time. But without proof, without evidence, that's all they are. So to me, it seems like he's a bit shook, to be honest. For him to apologize live on air, that comes across like he's a bit shook. So who knows? Who knows what the lawyers said? But all it takes is to say that this is defamatory. And that's it. So during the interview, Wright took aim both at Diddy and Jay-Z, calling Jay-Z and Beyonce a nasty couple who do nasty things. She claimed these things include keeping people against their will, putting people on planes while they're unconscious, just like Aaliyah got on that plane, unconscious. There is a lot that people don't want to talk about, Piers. Wow. So this is what she was saying. I'm glad Rolling Stone is actually letting me know what she said, because unfortunately I missed the early airing of the show. So Wright told Morgan, quote, "For 4 years I've been screaming, not just Diddy, but Diddy and Jay-Z are monsters." She added that Jay-Z starts little fires everywhere, forces everyone involved to go and carry water while he sneaks away without a response. Wow. Then she compared him to Harvey Weinstein. So look, obviously if somebody goes on a show and says that about you and your spouse, it's understandable that you're going to want to put it to a stop so that these rumors don't escalate. It's understandable. I can't fault them for that. But yeah, all I've got to say is everybody who was involved with Diddy, who's guilty of the same thing, who helped cover it up, who encouraged it, who watched, stood by, and let women, children, and men be SA'd, and didn't report anything, and was part of that whole seedy world, I hope they're exposed. Not just Diddy. In fact, I hope Diddy speaks. I hope he talks. Let the truth be revealed. It happened to Diddy, it can happen to any of them. That's all I'm going to say. Now, I understand that without proof, you can't just go on shows and start saying certain things. You can say these things, but obviously there's consequences. And you better be willing to back it up. Even the lawyer, who I believe was on Jaguar's side, because she told off DJ Vlad. She called him a culture vulture, and she called him out and said, "How disrespectful of you to speak of Jaguar in the way that you spoke about her. You called her a conspiracy theorist and you dismissed her." She said, "How disrespectful of you."
I also want to address Mr. Vlad, who I know to be a culture vulture, who takes from the Black community and doesn't give back and puts artists in situations where then they are indicted by the police. And he's very much so what we call police type investigation in the Black community. And for him to repudiate what Mrs. Wright has said, I thought was completely out of line. He can say he doesn't agree, which is fine. But for him to be someone who constantly uses the Black community and uses them as a means for his platform, I thought that was very inconsiderate and unprofessional.
So she came across as somebody that's on her side, but she told her that what she said, she needs to cover her bases so that she's not open to legal ramifications. Certain statements can be classed as defamatory without any evidence, without any proof. But if you're going to say something and you have evidence and you're speaking the truth, truth is a defense when it comes to defamation. So if you're speaking the truth, you also have to have some evidence as well. So you can prove that you're speaking the truth. And yeah, that is a defense. You're allowed to speak the truth, no matter how crazy it sounds, no matter how offensive it is. You're allowed to speak the truth. And that is a defense. So we shall see. Interesting times we're living in today. It really is. And if you're over in Florida and if you've been affected by Hurricane Helene and, you're in the path of Milton, my heart goes out to you. My prayers are with you. And, I hope it's not as bad as they're saying it's going to be. Sometimes these things just, the hurricanes just fizzle out, for lack of a scientific term. And I hope, that you guys get through this. We're thinking of you. So yeah, let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.